Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Sports Psych Talk. I am David Edwards. Today we'll be looking at the whole issue of elite athletes choking when the stakes get high and the rewards are great. We'll really be looking at a case study involving two premier Jamaican athletes, Merlene Ottey and Asafa Powell. Very dominant individuals in the sport of track and field, yet they have one thing in common: they're missing that elusive Olympic gold medal. They've also had relatively limited success individually at the top of the World Championships podium. So in this talk, we'll be exploring their achievements and making the case that they have the talent to achieve at the highest level, and then see if there's any psychological or what psychological factors might be impacting their underachievement. So let's start talking a little bit about Merlene Ottey, who is undoubtedly one of the most decorated female athletes of all time. In fact, only this past summer, we had Allyson Felix tying her with 9 medals in Olympic history for a woman. So Ottey, very well decorated in the Olympic Games. In fact, she has won over 20 World Championships and Olympic medals. 14 at the World Championships between 1983 and 1997, 2 gold, 4 silver, and 8 bronze. In the Olympic Games, she has 9, 3 silver, 6 bronze. She was the first English-speaking Caribbean woman to medal at the Olympic Games in track and field. She has definitely longevity. She's been dubbed the Queen of Track and Field. She is, in fact, still the world indoor 200 meters record holder. She set this mark back in 1993, and it is still, her record is still the only sub 22 seconds clocking by a female athlete indoors. She's also the first woman under 7 seconds in the 60 meters and the fastest 100 and 200 meters in the same day. So, Ottey has 100 meter runs under 11 seconds 67 times. That's astonishing. This also includes 9 wind-aided times below 11 seconds. So for a female athlete, 67 times below 11 seconds. Crazy. A record among female athletes also, 57 consecutive wins in the 100 meters. That's how dominant she was. She also has 34 consecutive wins over 200 meters. So you double up, and she was also as dominant. The one blemish: the coveted and elusive Olympic gold medal. In fact, remember we said how many bronze medals she has? She's actually been dubbed the Bronze Queen. So in spite of this dominance, on 3 World Championship gold, where she has 2 of them are actually in the relays, she's the oldest female gold medalist at the World Championships. 35 years old and 92 days, she won the 200 meters at the 1995 World Championships. But get this, 2 years later, at 37 years old and 90 days, she became the oldest World Championship medalist, taking the bronze in the 200 meters. Then came the Olympic Games down under in beautiful Sydney, Australia in 2000, where she became the oldest Olympic medalist when she anchored the Jamaican 4x100 meters women's relay team to a silver medal. Interestingly, later on, some years later, she was actually upgraded to the bronze medal, another bronze, the Bronze Queen, in the 100 meters when Marion Jones was disqualified for failing a drugs test. This, her accomplishments in Sydney at the age of 40. So let's talk a little bit about Asafa Powell. Let's mention one guy who everybody knows about. Usain Bolt. You know, everybody knows that name, the king of track and field. I might share some stuff with you that you might find a little bit shocking, probably. But before Usain Bolt, there was Asafa Powell. In fact, before Bolt set his first world record, Asafa Powell held the world record. Powell is a two-time 100-meter world record holder. So for 2 times in his lifetime, he was the fastest man on planet Earth. He has broken the 10-second barrier in the 100 meters. Get this, a whopping 97 times. No other athlete has come even close. More times than anybody else. 97 times. Individually at the Olympics, he's had dismal performances by his standards. A 5th place finish and an 8th place finish in the 100 meters. At the World Championships, he's fared a little better. So, you know, the Olympic Games are the marquee event. That's the big prize. But at the World Champs, he's had a pair of bronze medals. But he has, interestingly, multiple gold medals and world records as part of the 4x100 meters relay teams. He won the bronze medal in 2007 in the World Championships. Disappointing result for him. He was at peak form at the top of the game. Disappointed in the World Championships, finishing 3rd. But then, get this, weeks later, he broke the world record. So what's up with this guy? Get this, he has an 8.7 second split, the fastest in history, in helping Jamaica set the new world record and the Olympic record as well, in winning the Olympic gold medal, bettering his own old mark of 8.84. Incredibly, guess who was on the team both times? Usain Bolt. So Powell has gone under 9.90 44 times. By comparison, ladies and gentlemen, Bolt has only gone under 49.90 only 35 times. For further comparison, Justin Gatlin only 17 times. So that's the caliber of Asafa Powell, 44 times under 9.90. 35 wins in the IAAF Grand Prix. Now this is the mecca of racing outside of the high pressure situation of the Olympic Games and the World Championships. So 35 wins in IAAF Grand Prix, including in the elite big money races, 14 in the Golden League. So this is the top athletics championships outside of World Championships and Olympic money, Olympic Games, running for money, right? So what do Ati and Powell have in common? Underachieved at the big events. We can't doubt that. Their records speak for itself. In spite of being on top of their game. Based on the facts, the evidence that they're superstars in their own right. They have the championship level talent, but their ability to achieve at the very high levels has been called into question because they just haven't done it. In sporting circles, both are regarded as chokers. Powell, one of the best and most explosive starters in the business. He's finished 8th place, and then he said, "Oh, I heard footsteps behind me." Wow. Obviously, he panicked. So he lost focus, lost his concentration. There went his race. Because, you know, the 100 meters, very unforgiving race. Sprinting, especially over 100 meters, is a very technical event. Very, very few margins for error, especially at the highest levels competing against elite athletes. But the big start is a huge advantage. So there's substantiated evidence that both Ati and Powell can execute at the highest level. Both still are world record holders within their own rights, right? In different shapes and form, holding currently world records still. So obviously, this is more than talent. This obviously is more than talent. This is more than the physiological, because their record shows that they can run, that they're fast. They execute well when the stakes are not high. Anxiety, it seems, plays a critical role. Widely accepted that as stakes get higher, anxiety also increases. So I guess it's how you manage it. Interestingly, it would be interesting to see their results if we had them do the sports anxiety scale test. Originally, this test was developed by Smith, Small, and Schutz. I think it was some 1990 work of theirs. Then they upgraded it with the SAS was updated by Smith et al. Back in 2006. And that became known as the SAS2, which looks at three components, I think very relevant to both subjects, Powell and Otte. Number one is the somatic trait anxiety. This is the degree to which one typically perceives heightened physical symptoms such as muscle tensions when you're competing. So you start feeling a little tight, a little loose, you're not as loose, things aren't going like they're supposed to go. In fact, we can look at Asafa Powell because he has actually pulled up in a couple of big events in the finals. So, the stress, we could probably say attributed to that. Otte has been known to be beaten in tight finishes where she just simply tightened at the end. There's the famous race where Gail Devers caught her as she tightened. That is still regarded as the closest finish ever in track and field history. So the second thing that we want to look at is the cognitive trait anxiety. This is the degree to which one typically worries or has self-doubt. Both are known to be shy and reserved individuals. They're not the most outgoing people. Many sprinters, however, are regarded as showboaters. You look at the great man himself, Usain Bolt, Marion Jones, Gail Devers, Maurice Green, Carl Lewis, Justin Gatlin, Otto Bolden. They all have more flamboyant personalities, let's say. However, whereas being reserved can help maintain calm, you also need a certain level of arousal to be able to have the appropriate physiological response, especially when the stakes are high. The third thing, concentration disruption. Very relevant here again, I think. The degree to which one typically has concentration disruption during competition. Clearly, this is an issue with both Otte and Powell. The focus is required from the minute that starter's gun goes, through the drive phase and right through the finish. Otte, 67 sub-11 seconds clocking. Powell, 97 sub-10s. This shows that they can run, they can do it. Begs the question then, why don't they do it at the marquee events where the audiences are much larger, both in the stadiums themselves and on television? Powell's insight probably helps us a little bit where he said, "Oh, I heard footsteps. Well, there's 7 other people in the race, buddy. What do you expect? You're going to hear some people coming. How comes you don't hear it all the other times?" And Otte was also known to lose form as she tied up and got caught in a number of her losses. So both are indicative of a disruption in concentration. So let's talk solutions, because why talk about the challenges if we don't posit some solutions so up and coming athletes and current athletes can benefit? So plenty of research shows positive outcome of psychological intervention. You can start with psychological testing to determine their strengths and weaknesses. One thing that could be used, I'd probably recommend, is some energizing imagery where over time, this is not an overnight fix, but over time they can visualize something that's energizing them to act. For example, like a cheetah running across a plain, that graceful sprint. Then second, we could work on building mental toughness, mental planning, very critical in sport. How will you execute? In fact, the work of Orlick and Parrington, 1998, they show that there is a tremendous benefit of having a mental plan. One athlete who has a mental plan says it puts him on automatic. So he just knows what to do. According to Gould and Maynard, 2009, Olympic athletes with a mental plan prepared mentally, not only to perform, but also to handle distractions and unforeseen events. That's part of sports. So we have to have that mental plan. These, according to the study, especially helps athletes whose sense of control, which actually is a personality trait, is low. So a plan allows them to feel more in control regardless of situational influences. Feasible solution can also be found in Orlick 1986, which makes the case for athletes to segment their race, developing a plan for each phase. This is especially crucial in sprinting. Plan how to deal with mistakes. Go for the future, not the past. So don't look at the mistakes you made. Think about what's ahead, and execute stage by stage. Then another thing, concentration and situational awareness. This should be replicated in training. It's not going to happen just like that. Orlick and Jackson, 1995, recognized the need to focus on internal distractions, focus on the now, run stage by stage. The pressure of competition often plays a critical role in creating internal sources of distraction. Make training intense. We've got to replicate this in training, then they can execute it on the real day. Sensing pressure causes muscles to tighten as heart rate and breathing ramp up. And however, we've also got to look at the key breakdown that occurs at the attentional level, where instead of focusing externally on the relevant cues of the environment and what's happening around you, you start internalizing everything. You focus on your own worries and fears and losing and the failure that might come with that and how you might feel. As attention becomes more narrow and internal, you tank. I think that's a clear case for Powell. 5th and 8th, the fastest guy in the world by far. As pressure reduces flexibility to shift focus, we've got to make sure that we're shifting that to that external, where we're looking at what's happening in the external environment. And often when this pressure starts to build up, we see athletes, as in the case of Ati, having an overemphasis on body mechanics. And this can hurt you terribly in sprinting, which is all about form. So you start to lose your form and you tighten, the hands start going across you. So I think these are some areas that would be very, very helpful. I think we've made the case to say, hey, Powell, Ati, brilliant record. These guys can sprint. You can't run consistently that fast without having the natural physiological ability to go fast. But I think psychological training would have helped them a lot more in their careers. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This was Sports Psych Talk with David Edwards. Have a good evening.